All right, hello everyone. I'm Colin Murray and welcome to ArtWorks, the virtual art show. I'm glad you were able to join us this evening. This presentation is sponsored by two different organizations. One is Dane Buy Local, which is the organization that I work with and is helping promote this for us, and also Madison Essential Magazine here in Madison. All kinds of good things that take place within the magazine, telling us about all kinds of great things taking place in the area here in Madison. So check that out. You'll find them all over Madison, racks at the grocery store and various locations. You can also subscribe as well. And both of these sponsors are very supportive of artists in the Dane County area. So we appreciate that and are helping us get the word out so we have attendance at these events. As you probably realize, this is a new concept that we're trying, just checking it out. Seems to be headed in the right direction. But keep in mind as you watch the artists tonight, this is, for many of them, their first time doing this, being in front of a camera, setting up a display in their house, trying to get the lighting right. And we're still working on some of those things, so including myself. So bear with us there a little bit as we try to figure it out and iron out some of the kinks along the way. So tonight we have artists that are in the categories of painting, photography, mixed media, jewelry, and glass. So we've got a nice range of things that we can present to you. As we go through each of the presentations, the artists will have about 10 minutes each to present their work. And while they're presenting, Julie will put their contact information in the chat box. If you poke around on your computer screen, you'll find the chat box there somewhere. On my screen, it's in the upper right-hand corner, but every computer seems to be a little different. So look for your chat box somewhere in the screen there, and you'll be able to see that information. If you have any questions, if you can just put the question in the chat box, and then Julie will go through those and answer questions. So if you want to see a piece again, or if you question the size or price or whatever the case might be, those kinds of questions can go in the chat box, and we'll get the answer for you as well. We're also going to record all of this so it can be watched later on. If you want to go back and watch it again, that'll be available to you. And we encourage you to invite your friends to join us as well. So you can come and go out of the presentation anytime during the next hour while we're here. So with that, we're going to start with Susan. And Susan, would you introduce yourself, the name of your company, your organization, your artwork, your art business, and go from there.
I will. Thank you. First of all, Colin, thank you for getting this new normal for us, and also a great deal of sponsors. Art is really important, and I think even in these days where we are trying to find and be imaginative and in the incentive to try something, artists are loving that. They enjoy the aspect of what do we do with this and that creative imagination. So my name is Susan Mendenhall, and my artwork is called Jazz Art because my artist name is Jazz. It's a name that my family calls me and friends call me, and it's really fun to write jazz on a painting, which is what I do. When we have created a bit of a booth here, because in this season and perhaps through the summer, many of our art shows are being canceled. And one of the things I truly love about art shows is having the opportunity to hear people talk about the work and how it impacts them in different ways and their faces. And I've noticed over the last few years in doing this that 3 words show up to describe jazz art, and that simplicity, a sense of calm, and the sense of pattern in all of that, there is a happy pattern that And for me, that is a wonderful feeling, because those are exactly the things that I experience while I'm creating it, while I'm painting it. I see this sense of simplicity, only putting in the painting what I feel is necessary. It is a sense of calm in doing it, and the repetitive nature of some of these patterns is a happiness. And in some of these, there's even a bit of whimsy to it. So that is what I love about my work as jazz art. All of the things that you see behind me that I will point out are on my website, which is www.jazzart.biz. And the prices are there. You can't order from the website, but you can be in touch with me from there. And then I also have an Etsy site that there's a link from my website to the Etsy site, and I'll share about what's on that site in a minute. But I thought I'd put more of the new work, things that have been happening for these dark days of winter here in the studio. So let's begin. Don is my husband, and also he'll show up later in this segment to show about his art. But this is what I call lines of gray, and it's an acrylic, and you'll see again the pattern lines that show up and a bit of color. There's just a hint of color in various places, but that sense of gray is a color I love to use. It's a color that is a neutral that invites the punch of other colors. And this is a 30 by 40 size that sells for $345. Then we move, well, let's move over to the acrylics. We'll do that. These, let's see, how are we doing with what we see? So this top one is called Round and Round and Round We Go. It's, again, you see the pattern of circles, which are so fun to do. But this one is also an unusual painting because you can, I have it prepared so you can hang it vertically or horizontally. And it is 24 by 30 in size and sells for $250. Below that one is cattails are a favorite of mine. I have a number of ones that are cattails, but this one was done through the winter. And you see the lines and you see the circles in a little different pattern. It is also a 24 by 30 and is $250. But you can see where the calm comes in. It's bringing out the essence of nature, but a little bit of abstract in that as well. When I talk about the watercolors, which I really enjoy doing and what I've done for many, many more years, I use a process called masking. And masking is like a rubber cement that you put onto the paper, and it prevents the color from going in those places. So that needs to dry in place, and then I put the wash of color on for the background, and then I put in the specific color. And then when all of that is dry, the masking gets peeled off, and it creates this very organic, nothing straight about masking. It just sort of does like watercolors. They do what they're going to do, and you as the artist say, oh my, okay, I guess we'll go that way. But in this case, you'll see white lines, and then the calm part for me in all of this is I ink the lines, and that process is almost like a meditation. It's just very, very calming to me. So when I hear people say, oh, I feel so calm when I come into your booth, I love that. They can sense that quality perhaps of that calm presence of not only what they see, but the artist who prepared that for them. And again, flowers, rather abstract in nature, but this is essentially 20 by 27, and it is $300. It's in a beautiful bronzy frame that brings this bronze color out. And again, very simple colors, very simple. It's called Dancing Trio is how this one can be identified. In the gray frame, below is another process of the masking, a smaller rendition of that. And again, I call this sprouts of spring because I'm hopeful. I think this is the way spring might show up. It just erupts from the earth and it begins to show its color and it looks strong. So this is, let me see, 16 by 20, I think, or 18 by 20, 18 by 22, and it is 185. Then we have, you'll see again, patterns showing up with this one. I call it Inuksuk, which many of the cultures have, or Karns, many other groups might call them Karns, but it's a sense that we have found home. And I love that that aspect is in someone's home, finding home. But you'll see again, the patterns are simple. It's the same rectangular, but I'm creating a sense of stones stacked on top of each other. This one has been done with salt as well, which brings an interesting texture to watercolor that is sometimes difficult to happen. This also is in this lovely bronze frame that brings the browns out. This particular one is 19 by 24 and is $275. And then my whimsy up here. I have a number, this is in my, what I call my sketch portfolio. And it is simply using ink and marker and watercolors and just seeing where they go. There's just a hint of leaf, a hint of, I suppose these would probably be flowers, but they just have a bit of playfulness to them. And I call them my sketches because that is really what happens. They just become a sketch and then I add a little bit of color to them. And this is what makes me happy. I mean, these just seem like happy places to me. So that is what you see behind me. The website has other things as well, but on my Etsy site, I started in jazz art as, Don, your finger is in the way. Right. I started in jazz art doing greeting cards, and I put a quotation on the greeting card and then created a very abstract look for that. And on Etsy, those can be found. You can also find them on my website, but they can be purchased on Etsy for encouragement during this season. This is a great time to send cards and encourage people. Certainly we have all the life stages. We have babies being born. We have weddings happening in unusual configurations these days. We have deaths, unfortunately. So I have cards for every season as well as friendship, which we certainly are finding is getting us through this as well. Also want to share that on the website or the Etsy site, I have coasters, and it's my whimsy little sketches, and a pack of 4 is $18 on the website or the Etsy site.
What are your coasters out of?
They are cork bottom. They have a cork bottom, and they just have a nice shiny surface, so they can be easily wiped off and easily stacked, easy to go. Many people have purchased this as hostess gifts, which right now we don't have probably need of giving hostess gifts to people, but we can send them in the mail. So there you go. Also on my Etsy site, I have a book. I wrote a book. I'm a writer as well. I have a book coming out in the fall. But I wrote this when my grandchildren started arriving. It's called Finding Extraordinary. It's an 8 by 8 size book, and it tells about the ordinary things and finding them extraordinary, like going on a picnic, or what you can do in your backyard, or bedtime, which can be so difficult sometimes because we don't want to go. What do you do with a blanket? All about hats, finding that special place to go snuggle, how books can be friends. But I thought I would just read a little bit about an imagination, because I wrote about the imagination. So it goes like this. exploring ideas to form something new, inventions discovered by only you. Are you an artist, a writer, a planner, perhaps a teacher with a kindly manner? Everything is possible, nothing is amiss. Wonder and adventure, please, more of this. Imagination feeds dreams for tomorrow and today. When your imagination is working, it's really more like play. I think I can end there. If you have any questions, Colin, of me, I'd be happy to take them, but, or if any questions have come in. My Etsy site, as I said, is on my website with a link, but it's Jazz Art Watercolors.
Great, very good. You did a great job there, Susan. Thank you very much. I don't think we have any questions that came in just yet. We might get some as we continue on, but thank you very much. Good job. Good job.
Welcome so much.
All right, next we'll go with Julie with her glass presentation. Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie, owner of Bedazzled by Jewels, LLC, a mobile glass art studio. We travel to folk area schoolhouses and teach the ancient art of lamp working, which is glass bead making, enameling on copper, and glass blown ornaments. All of these arts are created with the flame of a torch. You can see live video on my website and Facebook page, Bedazzled by Jewels. I have lots of photos of students and their art projects as well. Bear with me while I grab my camera and do a flip.
Did we lose Julie? Julie, I think we lost your sound. You got your picture back, but you are muted at the moment. There you go.
Here we go. Okay,
All
we're doing well now.
righty.
Since it's spring break, I thought I would bring the beach to you guys. We can't go anywhere. So here's our little beach that we're gonna just kind of chill out at. And down below here, I'd like to show you that I have some beach beads. Now these are all created in glass and the design on them is hand drawn. So the glass comes in solid rods of color and it's drawn down to different sizes and also applied to the glass for the different designs and techniques. So my beach beads come on sterling chains. They all have sterling hardware and also silk ribbon, which is nicely sewn on the edges and adjustable in length with a bead at the end of the ribbon. So you can pull it shorter or wear it longer depending upon the size and length that you want to wear it at. The beach bead necklaces are $75. And I'd like to jump up to my next display, which is the beach stone ribbon box. And these are quite fascinating to me because they're made from Mother Earth. 3 billion years ago, we have a little picture of this with the history, which also is included with each purchase. There was lavas that were erupting that created the river basin for their Great Lakes. And over those 3 billion years, the salt river stone fractured. With the washing in the water, the stones became round and smooth. So I like to spend hours and hand picking the river rocks up on the beach, and it is a great feeling to hold a piece of earth in your hand. It's very grounding. So then I bring them home and clean them up and drill them with a hollow core diamond bit drill, set freshwater pearls and hematites. So these are on a long chain, which is 26 inches, and these are on another silk ribbon similar to the beach beads, where the edges are nicely stitched and sewn. And you can see the variegated color, which is from black to gray. It really adds a nice emphasis with the river stones and the pearls. These are $65. I have a matching earrings that are $35. The next display I'd like to talk about is my Mother's Day display. We can't forget Mom. Where would we be without Mom, right? So in my display here, I've got a necklace. It's a floral necklace. I'm going to get a close-up of it. And it has hand-drawn flowers. And there's another smaller lampwork bead at the bottom. And there's also a little piece of amethyst at the top of this. So I like to incorporate some gemstones into my work and always use good quality metals of sterling or fine silver. This particular necklace is on an 18-inch chain and is $70. Now the chains can be suited for longer lengths if you prefer. So Mother's Day, we also see moms wearing corsages. These are the alternative to flowers. These are glass. So the glass can be worn. It's all on a clip on the back and it pins on. And this one in particular has a little bit of a dingle dangle with some more glass beads on it. And those can be trimmed to any.
Dingle dangle is a good thing.
What's that?
Dingle dangles is always a good thing.
Yeah. It adds a little bit of whimsy. Here's a large corsage, and at the very top, you can see there's a bird that's overlooking and making sure everything is well. It's kind of my Dale Chihuly piece, and that was $300. And then I have another springtime corsage with a bird, and that one is $60. I'm going to zoom over here to this area that I've got here. The bottles have lights on them, and those are also for sale. Those are $20. That one is a small, and then I have the larger size. I have 3 bottles with lights. In this area, I've got some essential oil bracelets that are made with my handmade glass beads and gemstones. This one is rose quartz and moonstone. So to apply the oils, which the oils do not come with a bracelet, but you can use any kind of essential oil and just put a few drops on the lava rock and it will go with you all day. These have sterling toggles. And this one is a black bead that has silver in the bead itself. So the raw silver is incorporated right into the glass.
Let's pretend that this is.
And these are $65. In our next cubby here, we've got a strand of jasper beads, and they're just delightful in their color and the design. I'm going to take these out so we can get a little bit more light on them. So this is a 32-inch strand. Let's see if I can get some of that pattern that you can see in those stones. They are knotted. I did an individual knot between each bead.
A lot of work into that.
Yeah. The necklace next to it is a series that I call my angel wings, and they look like a feather. So it's a technique that involves raking the glass. So we're putting different colors of glass in layers, and then taking a tool and going through all of the glass, just kind of making that line, kind of rakes it and gives it that feathery look. This one also has a cubic zirconia set in the bottom of the swirl. and it's double-sided, so the design is the same on the back. This necklace is on a sterling 20-inch chain, and it's $75. Who's ready for some spring? Here we have a butterfly coming right out of its cocoon. This necklace is a Hill Tribe silver. Zoom in on the detail of that. And it's $85 on a 28-inch chain. Now, if you see anything that you like here, I also teach classes in how to make these beads at the folk art schoolhouses. And you can make these beads yourself and create your own necklaces like these. And I also have the hardware. There's a couple of more butterflies that are just waiting to fly home. The next cubby area is the bottle stoppers. These are great, not only for your wine bottles, but for like other bottles like olive oils. And they're just fun to have on your kitchen counter or, you know, when you're entertaining. So it's kind of a conversation piece. Here's a big fish. Green Bay Packers, if we have any Packer fans. Penguin with a Santa hat. Floral beads. And all kinds of crazy colors and combinations. This next necklace is one of my favorites. This is a lotus flower. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so you can see the detail. There's a lot of depth and dimension into this bead. This bead is an advanced technique, and when I pull the black card away, it gets a little bit darker, but you can also see some of that depth and dimension. This particular necklace is $80 on a 30-inch silver chain. The chain is a beveled edge box chain. And down here, because I love making beads, but I think I actually enjoy teaching the bead making class as much as I do making the beads. And there are some individual lotus flower beads. And these beads are also for sale, and they're $25 a piece. Over here, we've got a little bit more variety of things. I've got a couple of bracelets. This is a Labrador and Moonstone. Down here is a lampwork bead on Viking knitting. And Viking knitting is from the Viking days when they were in battle, and they would wear the Viking knitting as armor to protect themselves. Up here, I've got some Kumihimo weaved bead, gemstone bead bracelets. I'm just gonna slip this off and hold it out in the light to show a little bit of that sparkle. This is pink tourmaline, and I make the clasps that are holding these together. These are the swan clasps that I make out of wire and have some nice bead caps on the end to help give it a little bit more extra design and detail. So we have the pink tourmaline. I have the Tibetan agate and moonstone, turquoise and moonstone, and tiger eye and citrine. Over here we have a lot of beads that I've made. A little bit about the glass that all of these beads are made with. This glass is mainly glass that I use is imported from Italy, and it comes in these long solid colors of rods called cane glass. Then I use metal mandrels to wind those rods of glass on and make the bead. There's bead release on the end of the mandrel, so the glass will slip off the end. And then that becomes the little beads that I use to create the designs and jewelry with. Yeah. over here, we've got a couple different necklaces made with beads with silver glass. This is kind of a recipe. It's multiple layers of glass to get that pinkish purple color. You can't get a rod of glass in that color, so you have to have this combination, the right amount of heat and the right amount of glass to bring out those colors. Then there's a fine detail of spider webbing in the black that's encircling the bead, and it goes all the way around. This one is in blue, and it's the same design, the spider webbing. It goes all the way around. These two necklaces are $75 each, and the blue one is on a 28-inch chain, and the pink one is on a 30-inch chain. So chains can usually be shortened or lengthened according to your preference. Next, we have an enameled piece that's made on copper. And there's a couple, I'm gonna kind of get a closer view here. There's a couple of little smaller beads at the end. Again, that just adds to the movement and that whimsical look. There's clear diamonds and lapis. So you can see that the Perkmeyer diamonds are the clear crystal, and the lapis is the blue gemstone at the bottom. This necklace is $90 on a 28-inch chain in copper. And I love the chain. It's very smooth and it's round.
Julie, we're going to have to wrap you up here. Can you show us one more piece?
Okay. Yeah, a couple quick shots here. These are my handmade glass blown ornaments. They are $12 each, or 2 for $20. And over here we've got another great necklace for Mother's Day with a flower garden in the vase in copper, $95. And a couple more here for $75 on a 28-inch silver chain and $80 on a silver chain. And the design goes all the way around the bead. Okay.
Great.
Thank
Give us
you.
your website one more time.
Pardon me?
Give us your website one more time.
My website is bedazzledbyjules.com. And my Gmail is jules.beads, JULZ.BEADS @gmail. And my phone number is 608-575-0493.
Great. Very good. Thank you. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. I had a blast. Thanks
Good.
for checking it out.
Thank you. Next, we have Julie with jewelry. That's a mouthful. Julie, don't forget to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Raasch, and I do photography and jewelry. You'll see some examples of my photography behind me. Not going to talk a lot about that tonight, but if you need to pick me up, a lot of it's nature and close-up, and you can find me on Facebook at Hoverfly Studio or on Instagram at JULRAASCH. And you can just go check it out, maybe give yourself a little pick-me-up. But I am going to talk a little bit about my jewelry. And I work a lot in copper. And one of the things I do a lot of is called fold forming. So I start out, and I've got a little cheat sheet here, but I start out with like a flat piece of copper, and then I heat it so that I can actually work it. It softens it a lot. I can bend it real easily, kind of like butter. And then usually I use an anvil and some hammers. I'll hammer in a nice seam. Once I've got a seam, I cut out, I do a lot of leaves. So I'll cut out a leaf. And then because I've been hammering it, it gets work hardened, and I need to heat it again to soften it so I can get it open. So then I open up the leaf. And then I use my hammers and my anvil again and do a little bit of hammering on it to give it kind of this You see the texture that's going on there. And then I'll usually finish it off and seal it. Sometimes I add a patina. Sometimes I leave these nice red colors that come through. So that's in a nutshell what I'm doing. I do use it for a lot of different things, but almost all the pieces I have start out as flat sheet. So this is an example of several different just leaves that I do. Each leaf is, since it's handmade, is always very unique, one of a kind. I do a lot of different shapes. So this is more of a kind of a heart-shaped leaf, more traditional leaf. This one's been corrugated. So if my fingers aren't in the way there, you can kind of see it's kind of got, it feels like, it looks a little bit like corrugated cardboard. So when it's folded in half, instead of hammering it, I'll run it through a device that'll give it that crinkle. And then you can see the little red. So I get a lot of different colorations in some of these. And once I make these, I tend to make these down in my workshop using the heat and the hammers and stuff. And then once they're finished off, they go in a bin and they come upstairs where I then either add them to a chain. And you'll notice these all have a nice little clasp on the side so you don't lose it. But also it, this one's static, but the other ones, it'll rotate around. So it starts in back, but sometimes that nasty clasp has a tendency to run around the front and then you're like, I want to hide it. So this way it's sort of a decorative piece and you don't have to worry about that. And all of these are on like an 18, 19 inch chain and they run $35. Sometimes I take the leaves and do other things with them. And I also make them in different sizes. So each one's just sometimes a little different size too. But besides that, I also take them and I will, in this case, this one's got some ruby and watermelon check glass beads with some chain interspersed. And so you see as you get farther back, there's some tiny ones there. Or I will bead a complete chain in glass beads as well in different colors. So this one here has kind of got some greens and blues in it. This has got mostly earth tones. There's kind of a clear one that's got a little pinkish tinge to it. So you can kind of tell the different variety. The ones that are just a partial bead chain is about $60. And then the ones with the glass beads all the way around are $75. And I actually do the chains. I don't buy them this way. I actually take out the wire and add each bead and put loops on each end, and then I string them together. So it's something that I'm also making. In addition to that, I love the leaves, but I also do a little bit of other kind of designing with it. In this case, and for some reason I'm not getting great focus today, but anyway. This one here, you can kind of tell if I turn it a little bit, you can kind of see some of the different patterning. So this one's got 3 or 4 different folds in it. And every time I do a fold, I need to heat it so that I can heat it and hammer it and work it. This one's got a little bit of kind of texture in it, and then it's been folded, and I've added fossilized palm wood. So both the bead here and the bead that's been riveted on are fossilized palm wood. This one here, you can see it's got a little texture and it's been folded. So it's heated actually all 4 times for each of these 4 folds. So there's a first fold put in and then another fold. So if we walk right down this, this little guy that's got some really great red color is $50. And this one right here is $70 with the palm wood. And then the one with all the creases in runs $80. And the next set of necklaces that I want to show you are some that I did for the Fire Festival last year. There's specific pieces done for the Fire Festival. They have this great fire bezel. Some of the larger ones have the fire bezel along the edge. This one has it kind of wrapping around. And they're just a different set of stones. So this is an agate set in copper with the copper fire bezel. And that one runs $80. And then this one is actually a, it's called a phantom quartz. It's actually a rather deep stone that stands up, and you can kind of see the stuff around that, and that runs $85. And then this one right here is shell. And so it's actually got, this is called the Shiva's Eye, and it's a shell, and then it's got some copper and some silver running on it. So that gives you kind of an example of what I do. One of the other things I do with my leaves is I create rather long necklaces. So something like this, it's got this nice chunk of quartz and some carnelian in it. The leaf is, if I hold it up against my hand, you can kind of tell that it's a rather long leaf. It's almost the size of a finger. And when these hang down, they just kind of move around as you're walking during the day. So these run, it's on like a 24, 26-inch chain, and this one runs 70. Some of the other ones run, depending on the stone, can run anywhere from 55 to 80, depending on the stones used. This is another example of the corrugation that I do. So this is a corrugated, like heart-shaped leaf. And it's got some check beads and that kind of thing on it. And this is another one that's on a really long leaf. It can be worn either way. The leaves can always be worn. Some people like to wear them with the crease side up, and some people like to wear them with the crease side down, so they can actually go either way. This one runs $60 and will hang down. These are, when I'm talking long, these are really long necklaces. They hang down almost to your belly button. But if you want something shorter, you can have it put on a shorter chain. A few cuffs that I've created. Same thing as the leaf folding. So this is actually folded down here and then hammered to get, you can see there's kind of a ruffle in texture. This one's got sort of a fold down the middle, but then at the edges kind of come up. And this one's got sort of a green patina. So I often do patinas in several different ways, but I get nice greens and blues and a lot of things. Lastly, because everyone likes earrings to go with their copper, we have some just nice hammered earrings. Couple different things like a blue glass, and this has got kind of the watermelon glass. But as you can see, this one's got a little more brown in it, this has got a little more red. And I should give you prices on those, I guess. This one's, the dangle earrings like that are about $35. And then I also have some artisan glass that's actually just been like twisted. All the wire's been twisted up, so they create a nice dangle with a little bit of color to go with your copper jewelry. This is a pair that I did recently. If you're really into the hoops, these are some nice big hoops that you can wear. These run $75. And if you're not into such a big hoop earring, I also have, for $45, I have little leaf earrings. And then for $50, I have triangles. And that's what I'm actually wearing today. You can see it has some nice movement when you're moving your head around. So it's got a nice crisscross triangle piece, and then it goes up. The pair I'm wearing is quartz. This one is a rutilated quartz, so it's actually a clear quartz, but it's got a little bit of black stone in it. So, and I think that about covers it for me. You can find my stuff at estethajewelry.com, and I do have an Etsy site. And it's all in the side chat bar if you're curious. You can call me. Some of the stuff's online. If you see something during the show that you're really interested in, I'd be willing to talk to you on the phone. We can work something out. Otherwise, I do have quite a few pieces on my site, so you can take a look there. I'm adding new pieces daily. And all of this information will actually be on a web page that we're creating. So if you see an artist you're interested in, you can go back and check out all of their contact information there with links to their websites. So hope that was good for you. If anybody has any questions. So, all right, thank you.
Just to go to 9. I think we did get a question from Julie with the glass as far as the price was concerned.
Yes.
For the bottle stops. Can you help out on that?
For which one? I'm sorry.
For Julie with the glass work.
Oh, okay. Julie?
Oh, Julie, you're
Hi,
there.
I had to unmute my mic. Yes.
So the question is prices on your bottle stops.
Those are $30.
$30. Okay, great. Thank you.
I also have some knives and cheese spreaders too.
Okay, you got quite the selection. Great.
Thank you.
All right, 2 Julies, both did very well. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, next we're going to go to Michael and his star of the night. Let me just flip the camera around here. Set up in our condo. Let's see here. There you go. We're going to get rid of the glare. And who do you have with you tonight, Michael?
This is Kylie. She's my young protege.
Oh,
She's actually
okay.
learning to paint.
She's learning to paint.
She's learning to paint, so stay tuned because she's going to be unveiling a piece in the next couple of weeks that she has done.
Oh, my, okay. Does she use doggy paws to do
She
that?
uses a paintbrush and her paws.
Oh, okay.
It's
all
quite
right.
interesting what she does.
Okay, all right. So,
Anyway, I'm Michael Anderson from Different by Design. I do mixed media, two-dimensional artwork.
okay, and then just a quick scan of your work tonight, if I can keep the glare out. Kind of looks like contemporary night tonight.
It is contemporary. I do a little bit of everything.
All right, so where are we going to start?
How about if we start over here?
Okay, we're going to start on the left side here. We adjust around, okay. And
Okay.
sorry for the glare. We're still working on our lighting. This is a large piece.
This is a 22 by 42 piece.
Wow,
Um,
okay.
This one is actually done with mirrors. It's actually done with a wallpaper. The circles you see here are all done with our wallpaper. And then it's done with paper. And it's dimensionalized. It's probably hard to see. Can you see it on there?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
And quite the frame work as well. It's a beautiful frame. You did a nice job with that. Okay, and how much is it?
This piece runs $395.
$395.
Yep.
And you're running a
I am
special?
doing 20% off anything tonight.
Okay, so $395.
Except the
and
dog.
The dog is, how much is Kylie?
She's not for sale.
She's not for sale. She's sticking her tongue out a little bit there. So yeah, okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, so $395 and it's then 20%
20%
off.
off.
Okay, all right. So then we're going
If we go down to the one down on this.
down here. Okay,
This one is roughly a 30 by 30.
okay,
It's an acrylic done on canvas. It is done with metal. The circles are actually all done in metal. And then it's also done with glass. You get that?
so where are the glass pieces?
Oh, you can't see this. These are actually glass pieces here that you're seeing.
Okay, all right. And the
then
metal
these-
circles.
this is the metal. And it's painted in acrylic, has some gold leaf on it.
Yeah, now the squares, there's gold squares,
That's gold leafing.
that's leafing. Okay, all right, cool. What's the price on that?
This one runs at $350.
$350 and then 20% off.
Correct.
Okay, all right, where are we going next?
We can go up to this one right here.
Up there, okay. Hold on a sec here. See if I can get around the light. We're doing this in our dining room. That didn't help because now your arm's in the way. So that's okay. It,
Can you get over it?
yeah. Okay,
This piece is an 18 by 18 piece. It's actually an acrylic and glass. The acrylic is all done with texture in it. And it's probably hard to tell on there, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Pictures are hard to tell on.
Yeah. So it's all in gray, shades of gray.
Gray.
The glass is gray as
Correct,
well,
correct, yeah,
and it's a black frame.
correct.
And what was the size on that?
This is an 18 by 18.
Okay, what's the price?
That runs at $225.
$225. Wow. Okay, great. Okay,
And then we can go to the one down here underneath it.
okay.
That one is a 21 by 21. This is done also with acrylic. It's done with metal. It's done with glass. It is done with mirrors, and it's done with foam.
Foam.
Foam. These circles are actually foam that is cut out.
So you
I
use
like to use different things that you would not normally see in a piece of art. Hence, you know, thus the name Different by Design.
Yeah.
I don't like anything ordinary. Everything's got to be different for me because anybody can have ordinary.
How many people can say they have foam in their artwork? Not many. And I'm sorry, what was the size again?
This is a 21 by 21.
Okay, what's the price?
That runs at $295.
$295. Okay. All right.
And then we can go up to this one.
So those are blue and gray on this one.
Did I say that was a 25 by 25?
I think you said 21. But you-
It's 25 by 25.
25 by
I'm sorry.
25 and 295. Okay.
This is a 21 by 21.
Okay.
That's done in acrylic and glass. It's done in blues and grays.
Again, that's pretty intricate matting that you've got there. What is that?
It's a triple,
1, 2, 3?
triple
Yeah.
man.
Okay. All right. And what's the price on that one?
This one runs at $249.
$249. That's a gray frame that it's on there. Okay.
Silver.
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 Sorry. Okay.
And then we're going down to this last one down here. That one is a 25 by 32.
25 by 32. Okay.
It's done in acrylic. It's also done with silver leafing. The area is done with silver leafing.
Oh,
And then it's done with stacked mirrors.
those are all mirrors. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
One on top of another. Okay.
Yep.
And the price on that one?
Price on that one runs $395.
$395. Okay. So one of the things that we're doing is in the Dane County area, if anyone wants to have one of these pieces, is we will do what we're calling a text and drop. So we will arrange ahead of time with you delivery at no charge for any of these pieces to your home or wherever you want. And we'll leave it wherever you want to make that arrangement ahead of time with you. And then we'll just send you a text message when we've dropped it off so you can go grab it quick. So you don't have to have any interaction with anyone. You can get the piece and you're all set to go. So keep it nice and easy. If you're outside of the Madison area, we can work out something with shipping as well. So, all right, anything else you want to say, Michael?
No, nothing I can think of. Just keep watching because Kylie's going to unveil her piece here.
Okay, so in about 2 weeks, we'll wait for that, huh?
Yep.
Okay, all right, very good. So there you are. All right, we have to work on our lighting still. So, okay, thank you for that. Switch the camera back around here. Okay, so, and now, get back in the camera myself. I have to turn some lights off here. Okay, so now we're going to go to Don, our final artist of the evening. And I lost all my views there. Oh, there we go. Don, you're ready to go. Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Don Mendenhall, and my art is Essence Photography. I like it that I've named it that way because when I go out to do the captures, I have to be reminded once in a while, Don, not everything, just the essence of what the subject is. And what that does for me is it reminds me again to be more in relationship with the object or subject matter. I think that adds into kind of an intimacy and also a way that I can communicate how I see the world. To add to that, when I go over the photographs, you'll see a lot of negative space, which really, again, allows the camera work to really focus on the subject and not a lot of the other things that sometimes photograph. I did a little experiment the other day with a funnel, and I asked myself, what kind of a funnel capture person am I? Is it that I look through the wide end and see very, very small compositions, or do I turn it around and see the wide part? And which of those do I have the most resonance with? And it is the close-up, that more intimate aspect of whatever the subject matter is. Another thing I've been studying lately is Taoistic photography. And the phrase that keeps reminding me of my work is, don't force it. Yes, there's rules about composition, but don't go out there, at least from the way I view it, and force a composition. It never seems to turn out well that way. Some other things that I do, I coach photography. I teach classes a lot of times at Photo Midwest in Madison. And then I also have written 3 books here lately. The first one was visual centering. And part of this is, for example, there's a photograph where there's a lone dead tree. And the phrase underneath it says, not where I belong. So it has a lot to do with human relationships, the light and shadow of life, and the light and shadow of photography. Another book is Pause, Embracing the Hesitations of Life. And it's those moments in life, had you just taken a pause, life could have been perhaps a little different one way or the other. So be careful of the pauses, but at least take them. The latest one is Civility, Belonging with Dignity. And I interviewed 20 people, made their photographs. I interviewed them first to watch their expressions, and then made the photographs, the portraitures, and so that I could match their eyes with what they were saying. And the main question that I asked them was, how were you treated in your life? And then they spoke to that. And then Susan gave me the idea of coasters. By the way, mine are a little cheaper. Mine are $15 rather than $18. So just to have something, as you can tell, I tend to make photographs in black and white. And so that's what these are. So with the photographs, just to give you a little experience around what it's like for me to capture. This particular one was, Susan and I had the opportunity to make a trip to France and also to the area of Arles where Van Gogh did a lot of his work. And we were driving along with friends, and I've always told myself not to waste other people's time with my photography. But when I saw this scene, I said, stop the car, and they did. And this is a landscape, which I do make landscapes. It's not my favorite format, but this one I couldn't pass up. Mm-hmm. Down below, I call it suspended, and if you look closely, the egg is suspended in midair. And what I like about this one is that the children, and I always put it down low like this, they go right to it and they see the gap immediately. And of course, they're asking their parents, how did that egg float? And I'll say something like, if you purchase it, I'll tell you. So anyway, then we were in Barcelona, and Frank Gehry's architecture. In Barcelona, if any of you have traveled there, all you have to do is close your eyes and click. And there's just fabulous scenes all over the place. And this great, big, huge globe was balanced on this pedestal. Couldn't pass that up. And then down below, I do light painting, which I turn off all the lights. I leave the shutter wide open and take a flashlight and actually paint like using a paintbrush, the object. And in this case, somehow the light caught where I had sliced the pear and turned the seeds that were cut yellow, which really added to the photograph, at least in my mind. And as you can tell, again, the negative space with this one, the suspended egg, also with the Frank Gehry photograph. So then this one, I almost hate to, I'm very hesitant to tell the secret of this one. This is the bridge in Charleston, South Carolina. And Susan was driving the car. I had my camera. It was raining. Cloud cover was heavy. I took this photograph as a location photograph, not knowing that I would ever use it other than go back and really make a good photograph of it. And you can't tell with how we're shooting it now, but the sharpness of this is tack sharp, which means that the car was bouncing one way, the camera was bouncing the other, and it turned out sharp. This is through a windshield. And so my new lens now is the windshield. Don't tell anybody that happened, but you got to get lucky once in a while. And then down below, the barn thing, everybody, it seems like, makes photographs of barns because they're such a unique architecture to them. And this one was on a snowy day, a gray barn. I rarely stop on a busy road, but I had to do that in this case. And again, just the negative space, the quietness of it. And my work, like Susan, I've had people come into the booth and say, we just came into your booth to quiet a bit and to slow down. And it helps me realize that as a contemplative photographer, maybe I am speaking well to that. On the prices, I just put up a list here. Oh, by the way, with every photograph, I do a certification of authentication, and and then there are additions so that they know that there's only going to be 30 or whatever, and there's a certificate to name that. And then also the price list. This is kind of where I price things generally. Frame 10 by 16 is $175 to $225. 16 by 20s in that range, $250 to $325. The 20 by 30 images, $350 to $425. I used to have larger ones, but my large printer decided to say goodbye to me unexpectedly. So right now we're 20 by 30 is about the largest that I can go. Anyway, the prints range anywhere from $35 to $95 that match the frame pieces up here. And the books, the first one I mentioned, Visual Centering, is 30. The Pause book is 40. Civility is 40, and the coasters are 15. And Colin, unless there's questions, that's what I thought I could offer tonight.
That's great. You did a good job there. We thank you for your presentation. Remind us again of your website, Don.
Yes, www.donmendenhallphotographs.com, not photography, photographs.com.
Okay,
And
great.
I have two websites now. The other one, it's a beta site. There's the ones that I use more commercially, like what I'm showing here tonight. And then also some of these plus my own, what I call fine art, just for myself, will be on the second one, but it's under construction at the moment.
Ah, yes. I know how that goes with websites. I think they're all in construction at one point, all the time, aren't they? So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, great. Good job. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of our presentation for our artists this evening. If anyone has any questions, there's your chance to type that into the chat as we wrap things up tonight. Also, let us know what you think of this presentation. And if you've got some ideas on how we can improve things or change them, we're open to ideas. Either put it in the chat or send me an email on that. Our next show will be on Sunday. That's March 29th, this coming Sunday at 1 p.m. I know we do have some artists that are watching us this evening. If you would like to participate, I do have a couple of spots left. I think I've got, I think there are 3 or 4 artists at this point that are signed up. So I do have a couple spots left there. If you would like to participate, let me know. Don't be intimidated. We're all still learning this. It's a progressive thing. So feel free to jump in and participate with the rest of us. I do want to acknowledge again our 2 sponsors, Madison Essential Magazine. Pick it up all over Madison. There we go. And Dane by Local. So those are our 2 sponsors tonight. And we appreciate you joining us. Julie, did we get any other questions?
I didn't see any come in.
Okay. All right. I see there's a couple of comments in the chat. Thank you for that. All of our artists are listed there. If you want to go back, certainly do that and reach out to one of those artists. Otherwise, we will wrap up our presentation for tonight. Okay. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a good evening.
And we did get one last question. So,
okay.
Jill, yes, the presentation's recorded. So we will be sharing that link. We're creating a page with all of the information on the artist somewhere in case the chat box disappears. And we're moving these videos to a YouTube channel. So you should be able to go back and watch them.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Julie, for your help tonight. I appreciate that. So if I can have each of the artists just hang out for a couple minutes here. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your taking time out of your busy day. I'm sure, you know, a lot of activity going on, a lot of videos going on now. So we thank you for joining us.